Hello everyone, I've seen that a lot of people have been struggling with MOC 12, whether it's the horses on the second half or the Flame Reaver. Today I'll be going over how to beat the Flame Reaver. I want to note this video is not what I was planning to make, but just one that came up due to necessity. Now, I'll be focusing on the boss's mechanics and damage. I won't be annotating a run at the end as I don't think it'll be necessary, as simply knowing the boss's attacks and mechanics should be more than enough for y'all. However, in the background will be a 5-cycle clear with a 4-cost team with small herda, and it's basically a perfect run following all of the things I'll be talking about. There's little to no RNG besides getting spawn killed. I highly recommend trying small herda as she actually runs Flame Reaver's Fade. Firstly, I want to go over the MOC buff real quick, which gives us 30% HP, 5% reactive healing, and also a bounce attack at the start of the wave. I've heard people say that this is one of the worst buffs or just shilling my day, which is both partially true. But what people are completely ignoring is how absolutely necessary this buff is. These enemies, such as the horses or Flame Reaver, easily almost one-shot you. If we didn't have this roughly 600 HP increase and reactive healing, then we'd just die. We'd be visiting Castris before 3.2 even comes out. You literally could get spawn killed when transitioning into the Flame Reaver because he's so fast. Now with that out of the way, we can first discuss some key information regarding the Flame Reaver. Currently, he is Ice, Lightning, and Quantum Weak, which subsequently means he's resistant to the other 4 elements, including his clones, so let's not choose those elements. He has 2.2 million HP for 2 phases, which doesn't really matter. But what does is his clones. His normal clones have 167k HP and 139k in the second phase where he constantly summons them. Keep these two numbers in mind when choosing what enemy to target. He also has 174 speed, which is actually good and bad for us due to his mechanic. Before I get into his kit, I just want to note that the damage numbers I will be saying are relative, as your defense will change how much damage was taken, albeit not by too much. I will be using my Jingliu's 948 defense as the baseline. The chart on the screen, which I got with the help of ChatGPT, should be relatively accurate for how much damage a character should be taking in our Flame Reaver scenario for a 100% multiplier. But for the most part, a 100% Flame Reaver multiplier should equate to 400 damage to a 950 defense target. Side note, Gallagher's attack reduction is like a 20% damage reduction, which is actually pretty crazy. Now, when you start, Flame Reaver will always start with his blast attack, Demise's Storm, which deals roughly 1600 damage to the main target and 800 for adjacent units. After that, he follows up with an AoE attack, Fading Fate, which deals 1200 damage to every character. 60% of that will be turned into Corrosion, where when attacking enemies, you heal 25% of it back based on how many enemies were attacked. And if you dispel this corrosion via healing, you'll get a 30% damage bonus for one attack. The most important thing would actually be the clones he summons. Here, he consumes 2% HP per clone summoned, which he'll heal back the damage when he attacks, just like us in our corrosion. More importantly, when a clone dies, it will deal 5% of his total HP or 113,000 damage per clone. So if we wipe all 4, that's 20% or 450,000 HP. Also, he starts with 40% damage reduction, which can be reduced by 5% per clone killed. Now this is where the game really begins. There are 2 ways this battle goes based on if you can kill all 4 clones. So let's start with scenario 1, and you can kill all the clones before it's a Flame Reaver's turn again. If you can do this, he'll deal his starting combo of Demise's Storm and Fading Fate over and over until A, you move on to the next phase, or B, you can't kill all of them in time. So, to recap, for scenario 1 of wiping out all his goons before his turn, he would just keep spamming this one combo. So let's move on to scenario 2, and you can't kill all his guys. As soon as it's his turn again, he will cast Roads Mingled, with his extra turn launching Underworld's Grief with his 2 adjacent clones. This attack deals 1600 damage to the main target, with each clone dealing an additional 200, and 800 to adjacent allies and 100 per goon. This attack also absorbs his adjacent clones until no more are present on the field. Based on how many he absorbed, his next attack, Suffering is Essential, will deal 2 additional damage instances per stack. At 1 stack, he'll deal 1600 damage, 2 stacks will deal 2400, 3 stacks 3200, and at 4 stacks, a whopping 4000 damage.
Oh, that's a lot of damage!
And already enough to kill most allies. Now, if he manages to lap you because you're slow or it's just bad timing, he will do his Rhodes Mingled attack into Suffering is Essential, and 99% of your cast will not be surviving that. So, what can we do to stop this? Well, assuming because we're on scenario B and we can't kill all the clones, whether it's because we don't have the AoE damage, because we're using blast or single target, or our AoE just sucks, well, we just have to kill as many clones possible to mitigate the damage we're about to take. There's no stopping it, so we just have to prepare. Now, a cool thing that I found is that for his first phase, he can only absorb his adjacent clones, which means if you completely eliminate both clones on one of his sides, he can only absorb one at a time, giving you a chance to kill that one remaining clone and make it so that he only has 1 stack, dealing only 2800 damage on his OP attack. So the main thing to remember is that 1. Focus on the clones. 2. Do not use your damaging abilities if there are no clones present, aka your ult. Even if you are overcapping on energy, it's okay. You need to wait for the clones to be summoned so you can remove his damage reduction. 3. If you can't kill all the clones, try to kill all the clones on one side and then finish off the remaining one. Now that's about all the advice I can give for the first phase. Moving on to phase 2, he will start with Fading Fate to summon his clones and he will immediately charge Rhodes Mingled. Of course, we want to destroy as many clones possible. When it's his turn again, he will absorb every remaining clone with his Underworld Grief and then immediately cast Silent Sorrow. Here, he will add the stacks absorbed to his starting 8. During this time, he will keep summoning clones, but there isn't that 5% damage reward for killing any of them. Instead, him summoning another clone would just take 2% of his HP. During this time, he has roughly 69 speed, or an action value of around 144. He's slow as shit, so hopefully you can kill a lot of his clones during this time. But let's say we can't. How much damage would we be taking? On the screen is a chart showing you just this. As you can see, it's very survivable once you get to the lower stacks. Now, if you manage to eliminate all the clones, not only would you get an achievement, his awesome attack would actually just tickle you. Besides that, it's really up to you to be able to kill as many clones possible. Just know that he does heal based on how many clones were left when he does his final attack, which can be seen with the reddish bar. But yeah, I really hope this video helped you out. He's fairly straightforward once you understand why he's just one-shotting you. But of course, if it's too difficult or just can't get all the stars, don't stress or crash out, you know? Thank you for watching and peace!